So this is a First World War collection of reproduced memorabilia. And if you watch my channel, you know that I really like vault books. Well, this is kind of like the vault without the book, which is an assortment of reproduced artifacts, but they're just the pieces themselves. I guess you could say it's kind of like Lucky Charms with just the marshmallows, because I think my favorite part of the vault book is this kind of stuff, the little collectible pieces of memorabilia. And it looks like in this one there's a lot, and it comes in a hard box that's has images of World War One on it. You don't find very many things like this. I have a Titanic one, but this general vault box kind of thing is kind of hard to find. So inside is a plastic package, and it is sealed, but I'm gonna unseal it. And everything is sorted out nicely and rubber banded together. As you can see, there's lots of stuff here. And I guess we're just going to start going through it. Let's start with the big stuff. Okay, the first thing is a program of entertainment at Wellington Hall, St. John's Wood, which is a hospital in aid of local workrooms, 16 Finchley Road, British Red Cross Society. Okay, I'm sorry, it's not a hospital, it's a Red Cross. Saturday, January 12th, 1918 at 3:15. And I have not seen any of these so far, so I'm going to be looking at these the first time with you. And on this program, we have a lineup of music. The Caledonian Boys, vocal duet, Watchman, What of the Night, a song in an old-fashioned town by Mr. G. Brooks. There's a Lamb by Miss Florence Taylor, Marry My Girl, Bombardier T. Bacon, and there's ballet, there's harp solo, and some more songs, a recitation of poetry, I guess. Then there's dances, songs. It's just an entertaining night for 1918. And there's a sale. Sale of work, which I guess it's books, sporting prints, autograph portraits, a hat, jewelry, and other articles, and cookery. So there's a lot going on if you were able to attend this. So that's pretty cool. The next item here is it looks like a casualty report. Madam, in reply to your inquiry addressed to the British Red Cross Society, I am commanded by the Army Council to inform you that the soldier named above has been reported in a casualty list which has reached this office having been killed in action on the 14th of August 1918. I am to express the sympathy of the Army Council with the soldier's relatives, and it's a form letter, which is sad in itself, and it shows, kind of gives you an idea of the number of people who are dying during this war. And one of the aspects of it, World War One, if you study it, is the callousness of World War One, the cheapening of human life. That a form letter could be put out like that when it was just another slap in the face to the actual human cost this war was having. So here is consolidation of trenches, localities, and craters after assault and capture with a note on rapid wiring. For official use only, not to be taken into front trenches. So it's a book, and so I guess this is kind of just a report of progress. Occupation of craters, trenches. I mean, this is notes on rapid wire entanglements. One of the first requirements in consolidating a position is to get some wire out in front of it. The following general principles regarding the construction of wire entanglements should be observed. So it's just like explaining how all of the battlefields are coming along and how they were to be laid out with diagrams. It's a very interesting book here. And these trenches and craters and so forth, where men were just dying terrible deaths, if not from bullets, but from disease and just another thing that kind of puts World War I in perspective for the kind of war it really was. Not to say that World War II was altogether civilized, but World War I is one of the things that caused World War II, and it is also one of the things that led to a disillusionment of royalty and monarchies of the ruling class all over the world. It created the lost generation because everyone sort of felt betrayed by those who were supposed to be the stewards. So here's another an enlistment poster which says to enlist with the Wandsworth Regulars. Talks about the commanding officer Alfred Burton, and it talks about the pay you would get, which was pretty minimal. 2 pounds, 1 pound, and I guess this is a breakdown of pounds and shillings and pence maybe. By enlisting, you're doing your duty to your king and country. Here is the title for the defense. It says the accused, number 3379, Private Alfred Smith. Let's see, states in his defense that on the 1st of November, his battalion was heavily shelled, and he volunteers to carry oh gosh, it's hard to read this writing. Carry a stretcher to the dressing station and then to transport. It's very difficult to read this writing. It looks... I'm guessing this is a statement for the defense of a private for the prosecution. On the other side, oh, he's absent AWOL. So one side was for his defense and one is the prosecution. I'm not sure what the outcome was, but I guess he was accused of desertion. Oh, and here's a typed letter of the same case. Proceedings of Field General Courts Martial held for the trial of number 3379 Private A. Smith and number 2222 Private T. Cummings, 1st Battalion Irish Guards, are forwarded herewith. These 2 cases of desertion with intent to evade active operations against the enemy are very clearly proved. The charges as framed, however, do not actually specify that these men were avoiding any particular important military service, but it was naturally within the judicial knowledge of the court that the battalion concerned was, during the greater portion of the absence, serving actively in the trenches against the enemy. These 2 cases are particularly heinous ones, and I hope that the extreme penalty which has been awarded by the court will be approved. No, and it says on the bottom, recommended the 2 prisoners be shot. Guilty to suffer death by being shot. So this is the death. This is the beginning and the end of the case. The names, the charges, the pleas, not guilty, the findings, guilty. It's pretty sad. It's pretty deep stuff here. Women's National Land Service Corps. His Grace the Duke of Marlborough appeal for recruits for agricultural war work. 1,000 educated women wanted at once. Skilled milkers and those used to farm work. Partially trained workers, untrained women who can either go on the land at once in squads or receive 6 weeks training first. So this is for the war effort, the domestic war effort. Here is orders. Secret 20th Infantry Brigade Operation Order number 74. There's trench maps. Montauban and Martin Puich shoots. The 4th Army will attack the enemy's second line. And so this is just a playbook of... It's interesting to sit down and read this sort of thing. This is orders for an attack and how they want it to be carried out. Signed by a brigade major. And then there's a list of the units to be engaged and a map. The Wipers Times or Salient News, Saturday, February 12th, 1916, 20 francs. I'm pretty sure the Wipers Times, the first edition of the satirical Wipers Times, produced at the battlefront for some much-needed light relief. And this is a spoof newspaper made by soldiers at the front. When you hear a sort of whistle that swells late to a rear, and your ducks like hell, boys, 'cause you've heard that sound before. There's a crash that echoes skywards and a scream of mortar pain, and then you curse the blasted Kaiser and just march up again. So it's full of like little poems, reflections on being lost in Ypres at 3 a.m. Answers to some of our many correspondence. It's definitely sarcastic and facetious. It's borrowed plumes, extracts from our esteemed contemporary DCC, sporting notes, golf notes. People we take our hats off to. Things we want to know. It is kind of funny, actually. Agony column poem, The Nighthawks. Our new serial, Herlock Sholmes, edited again. So, making fun of Sherlock Holmes. What is this? Copy, date dispatched. Dear Arthur, I expect you are all wondering why I've not written, but it is an awful effort to get all the correspondence off and be active service at the same time. I can't say that I'm enjoying myself out here. It's awfully hot and we are eaten up by millions of flies. Life in the trenches is not a picnic either. We have about 4 or 5 days out of them and 8 or 9 in them. When we are out, supposed to be resting, we have to go on working parties, digging, etc. Then wherever we are, we always under shell fire, so it's not much rest after that. So it's a letter from T. Harold Watts to Arthur. I guess it's and look at, you can see like where it was folded and addressed and everything, which is really cool. Oh, here is a whole book, the Illustrated War News. The finest record, Royal Flying Corps. I mean, this is very cool. Talking about the Great War with photographs. So this is something that probably was going home for civilians to read. A little bit of propaganda to show how good the war was going. Full of lots of photographs. Reserves in Cambrai battle and the move to clinch the victory of the first line troops. Looks like a picture of a bunch of prisoners. Collecting surrendered Germans from the trenches. So this is the way, obviously, the war was to be reflected back to the home front. But this is still a remarkable piece. It even has like where the rust, where the staples left rust. It's really cool. So that's a whole full-length magazine. I'm gonna try to maintain that without the crease. Some of these, the Daily Graphic, whole newspaper, printed on newsprint. The issue of the Daily Graphic carries a free insurance of £1,000 undertaken by the Ocean Accident and Guarantee Corporation Limited. It's also got photographs in it. And talking about travel, it's got, there's a war going on, but you know, there's other stuff that they're talking about. Prince Wilhelm of Lippe, who is reported to have been killed during the assault of Liege. There's a political cartoon. And I'm also going to try to keep this flat. It smells quite good too. I think they... What's this? Little envelope. Base, it's gone through the sensors. Inside, there's a letter in pencil. My darling Doris, it's written in 1918. Just a personal letter. It's actually written on the real envelope. Here we have Women of Britain Say Go. To join the military. It is far better to face the bullets than to be killed at home by a bomb. Join the army at once to help stop an air raid. Rally around the flag. We must have more men. And an appeal to you. These are just wartime recruitment posters. Daddy, what did you do in the Great War? And he looks like ashamed. The Veterans Farewell. Goodbye, my lad. I only wish I were young enough to go with you. Enlist now. Step into your place. And on this side, 2nd City of London Battalion, Royal Fusiliers. Recruits required at once to complete this fine battalion. Uniform and necessaries immediately on enlistment. Army rates of pay and allowances. God save the King. These are very nice printed posters here. Now what else do we have here? This is Ministry of Munitions of War admits to headquarters office. This pass must be shown on demand and on termination of service must be returned to Establishment General. I guess it's just admits to headquarters office. I guess it's just like a hall pass kind of. Important notice. Under the Defense of the Realm Act 1914, the window blinds must be drawn before putting on the lights. Contravention of this order incurs a heavy penalty. This child's ration book. Ministry of Food. And it's ration stamps for Military Service Act of 1916, Certificate of Exemption. This is the certified that W.H. Pete, age 39, is exempted from the provisions of the military by the Ministry of Food. Temporary condition that he continues in the same occupation, that he's in the employ of a government department and is for the time being indispensable. So he does something. Okay, this is a Red Cross. We beg to acknowledge your letter and are very glad to hear by telephone from the War Office that Sergeant T. Caulfield, 4062, is a prisoner of war. This is a form, probably sent form letter. And here is Glory of the Allies, 1914-1915. Oh, these are postcards. Like a little picture set. Star shell bursting near British lines. British and French troops sharing cigarettes. A munition girl. Let's see, troops till the boys come home. Take Me Back to the Old Blighty. Jack Dunn, I guess it's a singer. An ad for a record. And yeah, here's the lyrics to a song that is in here. So, Tommy Lad. So I'm not sure if this was a set that you could buy. Yeah, I guess it was somewhat like a souvenir pack you could buy somewhere that had the ad for the song and then these wartime pictures in it. Here is another similar thing with these are cigarette cards, trading cards, and so these would be in a pack of cigarettes. This is exactly what the size they would have been too, and each one has a little trading card on it. That's the theme is the Great War. Very interesting. And here's another one. I bet it's the same thing. Yeah, these are more cigarette trading cards. And this is the Great War Victoria Cross heroes. There's one about hand grenades, Britain's part in the war, machine gun on airplane, and we have pictures of heroes or scenes of the technology and the war. They also made baseball cards, and that's what the original baseball cards looked like around this time period. They were in cigarette packs, and that's exactly the size they were too. This is a free meal was provided to men and women of all forces each Sunday at 6 p.m. and Saturday at 6 p.m. for 1 hour only. We're anxious to help you. Come and receive a real Glasgow welcome at the tent hall. Just a card for free meal. And probably there was going to be a speech or lecture to go with it. HM Forces overseas in uniform, combined leave and railway ticket. To France. Here is 1st City of London Regiment Royal Fusiliers, recruits wanted immediately. Another, probably a card that would have been handed out on the street to join. Soldier's Paybook for use on active service. It's like time cards basically, but a will built into it. In the event of my death, I give whole of my property and effects to my wife, Sarah Line. And here is another set of trading cards. This is kind of a grim picture of soldiers in the hospital with a nurse. Soldiers having their physical done. Lord Kitchener's message to the army. It's kind of like a little mission statement sort of thing. An early World War I era tank, one of our tanks. Lord Kitchener. And here's a name. Pioneer F.F. Fellows is serving his king, country, and empire. The money paid for this card benefits the British Red Cross Society. So he signed this and then made a little money, or gave them a little money, and he got this card for him. And then there's a couple photographs. One wearing a gas mask. and that appears to be an officer. And there you have it. There is a set of World War One memorabilia, and very interesting stuff. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you got something out of it. As you know, I like looking at this kind of stuff. It's historical. I can tell you right now, if I was in a gift shop in some battlefield in Europe, I would buy all of this stuff, because this is the kind of stuff I love to look at. It's kind of like primary source history, so it's very interesting. I hope you enjoyed it, and please rate, comment, and subscribe. Bye.